After trailing throughout the match, this is the first time that Anish has gotten the lead. We are off to the game. d4, knight f6, knight f3, d5, and the London system on the board. With it taking his time to think which way to go, he goes the fianchetto way in the London system, puts his bishop on g7, h3. Anish very confident now. He has won a few games and has taken the lead. c3 played. Very solid setup for white here. And Vidit brings his other knight to d7. His idea is to put his knight on c6 and aim for the e5 break. But it seems like Anish is well prepared here. He takes the pieces and puts his knight on f3. Notice what is a big weakness in the position. It's the d5 pawn. This pawn is going to be ganged up upon, and that is what needs to be taken care of. Now if you play bishop e6, b7 is hanging. So with it first goes b6, but now Anish gangs up on the d5 pawn. Bishop comes out to e6 with the threat of d4 attacking the queen. How does Anish deal with it? He goes queen a4, he attacks the knight, and believe it or not, it's very difficult to defend it. If you go queen d7, I have bishop b5 and e4. There are pins everywhere in the position. So how do you continue here? As with it, he goes knight to a5, puts his knight on the side of the board. Now Anish can actually build up with rook d2, double down the d file, or he could look for the e4 break, but first he brings his rook to c1. He wants to play c4 in the position. That's also a nice move, bringing all the pieces into the game. What does Vidit do now? It's not an easy position. He goes for the queen trade. He wanted to get the queen out from the d file, so he went for the queen trade. Now very tempting is to play bishop b5, but Anish is taking his time here. He is trying to assess what that endgame is like. Is it easier to play for him in this time control where both players are down to their last 30 seconds? And he takes it. Good decision. Rook fe8 played. And now knight g5 is a possibility. Yes, he does it. You can't move the bishop because you lose the d5 pawn. So Anish is going to get the bishop pair here. With it goes bishop f6, attacking the knight. And this is such a tempting position for Anish. He would have taken on e6, but he's just looking whether there are any more possibilities there. He takes on e6. Vidit is happy to bolster his center, but now white has the bishop pair. b4. The knight has to move knight to b7, and now c4 would be a very, very strong move. But he goes bishop a6, which is also fine. The knight is almost trapped, but rook e7 defends the knight. Pawn to a3, a slightly soft move there with just 13 seconds left. Both players down to their last 10 seconds or so. Rook d8, good move by Vidit. King f1 played by Anish, just trying to bring his king into the game. Now knight d6, and Vidit is doing really well, but he made some mistake with c4, and Anish instantly punishes it with e4. Excellent move. Now all sorts of problems. King f8, push e5, and bg5 is winning. But he goes rook c2, he misses it. And now Vidit blunders with d4, because after the rook trade, knight trade and bishop d6, he's won an exchange. Anish is getting this home now. He's not only won the exchange, but he's also got back his pawn. And also with 10 seconds in hand, this does look quite an easy win. Anish being careful there, just making sure there are no knight forks, because that's the toughest thing when you're playing against a knight with little time. The moves of the knights, even for top grandmasters, slightly tricky. Bishop now blocks the pawn. Knight to c4, rook goes there. And attacking this, bishop h4. And he's trying to push from the queen side. Bishop e1. Rook a1 played, and now Vidit gets a small tactic in, but it's actually a simplifying maneuver which actually helps Anish in some ways. His rook is now coming in, but the knight blocks it. Both players have now roughly around 20 seconds, so that it's not even like you are under tremendous time pressure. Rook f8, but now look at the knight, it's attacking b4 pawn. How do you defend it? Your king can't go here. If you go rook a8, he takes on b4, takes on a6. That's the reason why Anish is thinking, but he's down to 6 seconds. He's down, he plays rook a8, but he's not making his move. He's down to 1 second, he plays rook e8. Check, he would have lost on time if he had taken one more second, and there you can see Anish now moving very quickly because he cannot afford now to lose on time from such a winning position. That would be disastrous. Has Vidit managed to save himself? Is this a draw? Well, the engines don't agree, and Anish also is clearly better. His king is now starting to move on the king's side. Rook a5 pinning the knight. King goes back to d5. King f4, and now this time the king is entering into the camp, and it is a lost position for Vidit. h5, excellent move. Anish is not shy to exchange pawns because he knows that his king is getting in via g6. Rook comes back on a1. I think the main aim of the rook is now to just sacrifice itself for the a pawn. Knight to d3 and rook f1. Such an accurate move, cutting off the knight, now winning the h pawn, and Vidit can't do much. The rook pawns are the worst enemies of the knights because the knights usually can't stop them, and the rook can easily stop the pawn on a file. King g7. Look, you can see how Anish taking his time there. That's experience for you. Even though he's totally winning, he makes sure, because this is the critical game. If he wins this, he gets a 2-point lead in the match, which will be massive. a2 played, and now h6. Vidit trying to win the rook, but it's too slow there. The h pawn is queening. King f6. The knight can't stop the pawn, and Vidit resigns. Anish moves on and gets a huge lead in this match. What a game this was. An excellent London system by Anish Giri. Vidit will have to play out of his skin to get back into this match.